Man, there are things that I think of that I don't know if they're. Oh, hey, what's up? How you doing? There are things I think of that I feel are so important to how I perceive music that I wish it was like on every video. Like maybe I would have, you know, some title screen would say certain thing. I don't know. I don't think that would work. But I'm realizing a better way to explain what I love about beatbox, which is we're going to talk about guitar, right? Because that's where I'm coming from. I don't know if you're into classical guitar. I don't know if you checked it out. Don't know if you enjoy it. Don't know. I just have to pretend that we're all speaking the same language here, which is, you know, 100 years ago, give or take. Yeah, about 100, I think. Classical guitar was not like a respected instrument. It wasn't like something that would be performed in concert halls. It was not. You could go see violin, cello, bass, all that, pianists, you know. But guitar was not there. Because it's not that people were just biased. They were like, what does the guitar have that's great? They're like, even great guitar is not on the level of violin or piano or something like that. And shout out Andre Segovia, my teacher's teacher, is putting guitar in the respectability map. And a lot of people might go, why do you care about being respected? Can't you just play it? Obviously, you could just play it. But there's something that comes along with being in big venues, right? Being at a Carnegie Hall, being on certain record labels that gives validation to an instrument and makes it more acceptable for people to do it. So just like we have these players in the last 100 years who have taken guitar to a new level and made it the thing it is, I think that's really what I'm going through with beatbox, is that there are certain people that are making compositions to such a level that it changes my perception of beatbox and what it can be. And then hopefully, right, there'll be people that break through. Because all it takes is a couple. All it takes is a couple of people to be on that not just national stage, like televised or something like that, but national as part of the consciousness. Something that everyone in America knows there's great guitar players. Does everyone in America know there's great beatboxers? Right? So like, it only takes one or two people to break through to change the perception of the instrument, the perception of the art itself. And then that enables more opportunity, and then more people will get a chance to develop, start at a younger age, get better teachers. Like imagine if you were a beginning beatboxer and you got to learn from these guys and when you're like 8 or 9 or something. So, I mean, I guess you kind of get to learn through YouTube, but just saying. That was just something I was thinking about. I will tell you this. I've always enjoyed beatboxing because my exposure to it came from like the late 80s, early 90s recordings of stuff. But no, I never, other than Rozelle, and that's way far back, I never really was like, oh, there's a bunch of great beatboxers. Until doing these reactions, no, I was like, oh, there's one guy or two, there's 2 people. But now you're like, no, there's lots of people. You just haven't heard them yet. So anyways, Shogo somehow, that being said, all right, Shogo, let's keep it moving. I mean, I don't know if it's simple or not, but I can't find the pitch. But that little note he goes up to, for some reason, that's the anchor holding everything together for me. It's really weird when like a static pitch is the thing that holds it together. I guess it's not a static pitch. Oh, he's way up there. It's like a high C or something. I guess it is 2 notes. But I mean, something that's like a 2-note fragment, 3-note fragment, just always strikes me, and I'm like, oh, that's the thing I paid attention to. And now it's the little, whatever that little knuckle popping, that thing. Bro, this actually just makes me think about the future of beatbox. Loved it. Loved the performance, 100%. Love it. Um, I'm curious. Obviously, I'm not gonna know for like years. I think the future of beatbox, well, at least a clear future. I think more loop station stuff, and I don't know. I'm trying to put my head in the mind of a beatboxer. I think because he's making so many amazing sounds, and a lot of people we listen to make so many great sounds, that when they're just making it with their mouth the whole time by themselves, it's like the maximum amount of, oh my god, I can't believe that, because you're watching them do everything all at one time, and that's like a pinnacle of difficulty, technical achievement. But I think it's getting to that point where when you're making this many sounds, the limitation now is how many notes you can make and how long you can hold your breath for before you breathe. And the limitation is no longer your imagination. It's not the composition. It's your physical ability, which is when you start mapping out multiple parts for, say, a loop station or multiple beatboxers or something like that. And I kind of am not just sure about my history here. I think I'm gonna be kind of close. But I think when you go back to the 1940s and 50s, I don't think there was a lot of overdubbing going on. I think they're probably 4-tracking, I'm guessing. I don't think they were 8-tracking back in the 50s. But by the time you make it to the late 70s and early 60s, you have late 60s, early 70s for sure, right? You've got Hendrix doing all these tricks with the recording where he's doing reverse guitar and these overdubs and stuff like that, right? And then we go, so in 20 years, you go from just like a microphone in a room to overdubbing 8 tracks. And then we go forward another 20 years, and now we have digital recording and, definitely 100 tracks, no problem. And depending on your computer setup, more than that. When you look how far it goes in 40 years, I think beatbox is gonna, I think this. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to lend itself to more of a full composition. Could be wrong. I should also define the word full composition. All right, so when I play classical guitar, like real classical guitar, where there's a melody, chords, and a bass line, so you got 3 parts going on all the time, sometimes maybe more, maybe a little bit of percussion, maybe some harmony. I still have to be aware of the fact that there's things I'm leaving out. Like, I don't have a super low bass range on my guitar. No matter how fancy I play, I don't have the low bass unless I'm going to hook up a pedal or something to replicate that, right? I don't have a vocalist. I have a melody, but I don't have a vocalist. So there's things that no matter what good of a job I do, they're just not present in the instrument itself, and it's not present given the environment I'm playing in. So I think those same limitations apply to a beatboxer, which is no matter how challenging the arrangement is, you are still dealing with the limitations of being one person and making one sound at a time, maybe 2 sounds, 3 sounds with some polyphonic techniques. I think it's going to be moving into more complicated structures and relying on either other musicians or copies of yourself to do that. I don't think that's a bad move. I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of. It's just embracing it. It's like, imagine if I was recording all these videos on one of the Sony Handycams from like 1994 and using the built-in microphone, and then not using anything to make thumbnails, just being like, well, thumbnails are new. Being like, oh, well, multi-track editing's new, screw that. New microphones, they're new, screw that. The cameras and iPhones, those are new, screw that. I'm staying original, I'm staying true to the form. The technology is a tool, embrace it. Title of this track is Somehow, and somehow I feel like I said a lot of stuff and I'm not sure if I said anything. Wait, why does it say 217? Is there more left? Okay, no, not really. Okay, my cat's yelling. If that's not the real reason I'm going because the video's over. My cat's also yelling and I'm out of here.